Hello, my name is Dr. Yigal, or Craig Goodman, and I'm here at Hidabrut, thankfully, thanks Hashem, to talk to you a little bit about, in my opinion, some of the connections between Torah and psychology. Now, what I wanted to talk to you first about is time, moments. I wanted to take the time in this lecture to thank you all for tuning in, for watching, for listening, for taking time from your precious lives, precious moments that are really the most rarest and most valuable commodity we have. Because all the power and clout and money in the world cannot bring back a moment once it's passed. Moreover, how important it is that we use those moments for good. Good for ourselves, good for our fellow human beings. So, I thank you for your time. Now, having said that, let's talk a little bit about how we use that time and how we can use that time to our benefits, in our lives. What we can do is start to learn how to think more positive, how to think more about Hashem. Really, the purpose of creation and everything in it is just to allow us the opportunity to realize and come to the conclusion that everything we have is from Hashem. Now, in psychology, when I was first started my BA, bachelor's degree, studied in San Francisco State University, and I remember that we had a introductory psychology course. It was the first psychology course I ever took. By the way, I forgot to mention that I'm a clinical psychologist, by the way, and I'm also a brain researcher. My doctorate was in neurobiology. All thanks to Hashem. What it said in the book, it was a textbook written by Simbardo, where I can't remember the exact details. It was over 20 years ago that I learned this, but they talked about psychosomatics. What is psychosomatic? Something that psychologically creates a somatic manifestation in the body. That psychologically, or through our thoughts, we can actually produce disease or sickness. There's so many people ill today. There's rises in every illness, and cancer is just everywhere. Healthy people. Why? We can't seem to get the right treatment, the right cure. What's the cure of all cures? What's the treatment of all treatments? What's the therapy of all therapies? All the emotional problems we have, the emotional distress and turmoil, the fears that we have. People, in terms of their lives, they're always mostly thinking about what was, or what I didn't do, or what I did do, or why didn't I do that, or they're worried about the future. How is it going to be? What's going to be? Do I have money? Do I have this? Where am I going to live? I mean, obviously these are all important considerations, but it comes at the expense of the moment. We don't live in the here and now, mostly. That's called being. Those are two concepts in psychology, doing and being. We're all really kind of just doing a juggling act, a balancing act between our doing and our being. And in fact, another concept is here and now. It's a very important concept, that in order to really be connected in life and connected with yourself, you have to live in the here and now, in the moment. That's the main point, the main issue, that we are always running around doing things, being busy, occupying ourselves, worrying needlessly, but really we should be trying to do all those things with a mind that we need to be human beings. We need to be human. And what is being human? It's being spiritual. It's being connected to Hashem. Doesn't necessarily imply religion. Spirituality is something that is part of our internal selves, our spirit, our neshamot, our soul, our mind. The neshama exists in the mind. Now, let's go back to this textbook I was telling you about. I'll never forget it. I read a little anecdote about a person that had a tumor. I believe it was in the kidneys. And the person was a known hypochondriac, which is someone who's always obsessing and thinking about, repeatedly about disease, that the person feels that they're sick. They tend to go to the doctor all the time, back and forth, doing all kinds of tests every week, every day, going, you know, what's wrong with me, what's wrong with me? And one doctor finally decided he's going to do something when this, this tumor appeared. He's going to give him what's called a placebo. A placebo is another term for something that's not a real medicine, but we give it to the person, making them think that it's a medicine. Okay? Now, I said about thinking. So this doctor took some, I don't know, candies, and put them in a little pill container and slapped on some sticker with some fake name, said, take these. This is a brand new medication. Take it for a couple months, you know, a couple times a day, and you'll eventually, it'll cure that tumor. Sure enough, after a couple months, the guy came back to the doctor, they did a scan, and tumor was gone. Miraculous, amazing. Now the guy, being the hypochondriac that he is, the warrior that he is, he wanted to know what was this amazing wonder drug he had taken. And the more and more he started trying to check and find out, he eventually realized that there's no such thing, that it doesn't exist, that it was a placebo. Eventually, the tumor came back again. This is a documented medical case, and there have been many, many cases documented like this. It's a well-known fact that psychosomatic thoughts will cause symptomology that can be detrimental to a person's health. Now, the second time around, he went to a different doctor, and the doctor had his medical history. So he says, you know what, I'm going to try something a little different approach. I'm going to give him a medication that's used for something else. I don't remember what it was, for high blood pressure or something. But it's because there really is no treatment for this tumor. Gave him the pills. He said, take them, you know, a couple times a day for a couple months. Sure enough, guy came back, did a scan, no tumor. Disappeared. Wow, amazing. And the guy, again, like before, had to know what it was and started checking it out and asking other doctors and reading about it and looking it up and realized that this medication is not for what he was using it for. But there is no real medication for that. And he was so distressed, the tumor eventually came back. The third time, he passed away from it. He died. Now let me tell you a story of something that happened in my life, someone I knew. Now this is, you know, not something I read in some book or newspaper or some story that I heard or it was a secondary source. This is something that I personally experienced. And if I didn't personally experience, I don't know how much I would have really believed it. Because we always have some doubts when we hear miraculous stories. Well, maybe they embellished a little bit, you know, like the telephone effect. You know, something happened and then it got bigger and bigger and bigger and they just want to make everybody religious or they just want everybody to donate money to their organization or whatnot. I had a friend about 20 years ago who was a known psychologist, and this was in Los Angeles. and they found that he had a tumor in his brain, very large tumor. And the tumor was inoperable because if they would have tried to operate, they would have killed him in the process. They says, there's no way we can operate. And by the speed at which the tumor is growing, you know, as we've been monitoring your progress, we calculate that you have only about, roughly give or take, about 4 months to live. And there's nothing we can do for you. You should go home, start to say your goodbyes to all your loved ones, your family, your friends, and just take care of all the unresolved things in your life. Say goodbye. Now this person was Jewish and not religious. Not religious, more of a secular Jew, you know, but a person who believed in Hashem. Great faith, in fact. Didn't keep the Sabbath, didn't keep various laws, but at the time, but he believed in Hashem. And the doctors that had given this diagnosis, obviously he had gotten second opinions. He went to several professors and top neurologists it was in Los Angeles at UCLA Medical Center, and UCLA Medical Center is known to be one of the #1 neurology departments in the world. Cutting edge research, top of the top, creme de la creme. I saw the scans. I was shown the scans, the MRI, and I saw the tumor. There was even someone who doesn't understand neurology or neurobiology can see this big spot right there in the middle of the brain. It was very sad and very disheartening. This friend of mine decided to take some time off of work, stop seeing all his patients, went home, and basically all day long, all he did was think about Hashem, think about God, and always thought to himself, I am healing, I am healing, I am getting better, I am healing. Hashem will heal me. Hashem, you're healing me. That's all he would think from morning till night for months. Just thinking about Hashem and thinking about healing. No medication. That's all he did. He didn't accept the diagnosis of the doctors. He didn't accept that he was going to pass away, that this was the end. He had such a strong will that he literally just fought to think and feel positive and healthy. Now, 4 months went by, 6 months went by. I don't remember exactly how long it was when eventually they went back for a second checkup, follow-up. And at that point, the doctors were bewildered because he should have been, barely functioning or living at that point. You know, as there's a tumor grows in the brain, it starts to affect various areas in the brain and processes, and our breathing, heart rate, and so on and so forth. And slowly the person deteriorates and is unable to sustain themselves. The body doesn't function properly. So they did another scan and another scan. The tumor was completely gone. Disappeared. Nothing. Gone. The doctors were dumbfounded. They didn't know how to explain it. They had no explanation. This must be a miracle. Never saw anything like it in our lives, in all our professional career. And this really happened. This person is still alive today, thank God. Baruch Hashem. Enjoys his grandkids. Gets a lot of nachas, a lot of pride and joy from them. Now, obviously, we're not all as powerful in terms of our thinking and our belief as this specific person was, but just that the fact that these things happen and that they're medical facts. I had a friend who was an oncologist for 25 years in Shaarei Tzedek in Jerusalem. he became so disenchanted with the whole traditional medical process that he literally left the hospital and he started traveling the world over looking for cures, alternative cures. And he ended up saving the lives of hundreds of people who had been turned away for treatment, who the hospitals had said, there's nothing we can do. It was amazing. He was an amazing man. And he said to me, the best thing to do about one of the worst diseases we have today, that's so, I mean, it's so spread out. I mean, so many people are getting this disease. God forbid that Chas v'Shalom, that won't be on us, lo aleinu, cancer. All the research and everything we're doing, everyone has cancerous cells in their body. They're dormant. But they can be actually activated. He said to me, the best thing to do about cancer, to prevent cancer, is don't think about it. Don't think about it. Don't be afraid of it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about diseases or anything. Think positive thoughts. Think thoughts of creation, of Torah. Think about your fellow human beings when you see them, when you interact to them, how you can find the good in them. And you'll eventually find the good in yourself. How can you think good things? They say in the future, in the time of the redemption, we will have the insight, the ability to understand even how things that are on the surface negative or seem bad are really for our good, are really good. They really have a meaning, a purpose. And Hashem only allows those things to happen in order to help us, to bring us closer to Him. Sometimes we don't understand. A parent will take their kids to the doctor's office and they'll give them an injection, an immunization, or they have to get a shot for something, and the kid's screaming and crying, and Dad, don't let him hurt me. Don't let those doctors stick those big needles in my arm. And you know, what does the parent do, or the mother or the father? They grab the kid so they won't move, and the doctor say, hold him still so I can, you know, give him an injection. And the kid screams, oh, you hurt me, you did it, what did you do it to me? The kid doesn't understand. If a kid suddenly ran out into the middle of the street without looking and a parent got angry and they yelled, don't do that, and grabs him and pulls him back, the child doesn't understand that they're really doing that for their own good. They're trying to teach them how to be safe, how to know what to do and what not to do, how to be spiritual beings, how to live moral lives. Obviously, if we see somebody doing something wrong, we shouldn't say, especially to our children, you're doing, well, how can you do something like that? Or what kind of kid does that, or what? We should reframe it into a positive thing. Even Rav Tversky, Dr. Rabbi Avram Tversky, who I'm a big fan of, I've read many of his books, was a big proponent of self-esteem. He used to say, his father used to say, es passt nicht, in Yiddish, which means it doesn't fit you. It's not becoming of you. It's below you. We can elevate each other even by forgiving one another for our failures, for our defects, for our mistakes. When we did something wrong, maybe we can forgive each other. Maybe we can bring a lot more light into the world if we just pick up the phone and say sorry to people that we haven't talked to in a long time that we love. Someone very smart once said that what exists under anger is pain, and what exists under pain is love. If we didn't have that need or love that person, or the need to be loved by that person, it wouldn't hurt us so much. And if that hurt then manifests itself in anger. So maybe we can realize and do a switch, a mapecha. We can flip everything over to good, to positive. and learn to love ourselves and Hashem. Todah.